Hey guys, and welcome to Quality Shot. I'm very, very excited to be joined by light heavyweight prospect and challenger, I think, isn't it? Dec Spelman.
Mhm.
How you doing, mate?
I'm good, cheers. Yeah, thank you.
Good, good. How have you been during these very weird times?
Yeah, just chipping away like everybody else, I suppose. Yeah, it's very strange, and you never know what's around the corner, do you, or what they're going to kind of throw out the bag. But just take it as it comes, I suppose. That's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. So I'm assuming you still got access to boxing gyms, right? So I've talked to a few fighters and they've said they've got access to boxing gyms, but they can't obviously access the normal gyms and maybe do some strength conditioning that they might have been doing. So how have you
Yeah,
found that? Has it been okay?
yeah. I mean, I train out in Newark, so it's over an hour, just over an hour drive for me anyway. So um, I only really like when I 4 weeks, just over 4 weeks outside a fight is when I used to go down. I've changed my job now, but I used to go down to part time. So when I used to stay over there, and in fact, I had my 4 week off towards the end. So I'd really stay over there the majority of time. So when I haven't got a fight coming, I'll kind of do my own thing, because it's quite a lot with travel costs and stuff like that to keep going and maintain that 4 or 5 times a week. So I've got a friend, Luke Fish, who's got his own gym down here. I train there quite a bit, and I just keep my own little thing going until I hear whispers of a date or until I'm putting a bit more timber on, and I think, oh, I better do something.
Makes sense. I'm sure everyone's putting a little bit of timber during lockdown. I'm sure, so I wouldn't worry about that, especially after Christmas and New Year as well. It's all combined together as a perfect storm. So no, I feel
Yeah,
you for sure. Um, so obviously you fought in front of no crowds twice in two really big shows. One against obviously Lyndon and one against Anthony Yarde, which were very big shows on BT. How
yeah.
do you find fighting in front of no crowd? Was it a bit weird, a bit almost like a spa?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked this a lot, and I think for me, like when you get in there, it was no different to me. But it was a fight week, really. But what was different, and that was, it's you go down there 3 days, like 3 days before hotel, and you're a bit. It's a funny time anyway, fight week. You know what I mean? So for all that added on top, and you was kind of, well, not lots as such, but you were confined to an hotel, and you're outside your comfort zone. And I think that was the biggest difference for me. Definitely the fight week more to than on the fight night.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, obviously, less media and stuff. I guess you can concentrate more as well. So I guess less people pestering you, like myself and other people, asking you questions, etc. And you can just focus on fighting, which I'm sure is nice as well. So obviously, I'm sure lots of people have asked you this, but you predicted obviously that Lyndon Arthur would win against Anthony Yarde, and
Yeah.
they obviously had a common opponent in yourself, and your
Yeah.
prediction rung true in the end. Um, I've heard you talk about this a little bit, but I just want to get briefly touch upon it. What made you pick Lennon Arthur to be Anthony Yarde? Because at the time, even though he was the Commonwealth champion, he was seen as the underdog. So how come you picked him to win?
I just do you know what? When you look at the fight, when you look at that, the way it went as well is exactly how I said it would go as well. He just wouldn't be able to get past that jab. So yeah, Lyndon is a very well schooled fighter, very experienced, very well schooled, and Yard isn't. And although Yard had been in there with the bigger name of Kovalev, apart from that, he'd not done anything. This is why I was confident at taking the fight, and like he not boxed very many fully fledged like heavies. When you break it all down, he beat a lot of blown up super middles along his way, and I don't know. I just thought he had the beat and everybody. I just thought everything. I just couldn't see much more what Yard was going to bring to the table than I was, and I was absolutely flogged at the weight when I boxed him, and like, and it proved. I mean, I don't think for me, them scorecards were a lot closer than I thought there was. I thought Lyndon controlled it very well with the jab, and yeah, maybe like towards the end of the fight, Yard felt like he had to chase it, and which he did obviously, and he did turn it up a bit. But yeah, the fight went exactly how I thought it was. I just thought he was going to give him nightmares with that jab. I didn't think he had the power to stop Yard, but I just thought he'd give him nightmares with the jab all night, and that's what he did. He just pops a jab. As soon as you go to set again, pops a jab in your face. You have to reset. You know, and you don't see it coming because he brings it from the hip. Yeah, and it happened exactly the way it planned out exactly the way I thought it would. But that said, if the rematch happened, I think it'll be very interesting. And I couldn't call a rematch, to be honest. And I don't think it's a clever call if Lyndon did take the rematch.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, his jab is very, very, very impressive, as you said. Such a good weapon, and it's interesting because he said after that his hand was hurt, his right hand.
Yeah.
So that's why I think he threw about 2 or 3 the whole fight, really.
Yeah.
And so he just controlled it with a jab, similar to actually Joe Joyce against Daniel Dubois, where he pretty much just controlled it with a jab. And both, big shows, and 2 fighters who I guess you could say are the poster boys for Frank Warren at the time ended up losing. But fair play to all involved for putting it on because they're competitive fights. I was actually going to ask you about how it played out, but you've literally just talked about it. So thank you for that. In terms of, so you fought in Ultimate Boxer, right? So I wanted to get a little bit about your experience on there because there are a few competitions, obviously a little bit different. Like it's now turned into Boxer, but there's a few tournaments that obviously not just on the day, etc., but that are floating around, like the MTK Golden Contract. There's also the WBSS. So these kind of tournament formats a little bit different, obviously, to Ultimate Boxer. But I wanted to get firstly your experience of that, and did you enjoy being in a tournament environment? And also, would you be interested in something that is like that, where you know what your next fight is, you've got a clear route?
Yeah, being in the Ultimate Boxer, I love that. I love training for it. I love every bit about it, and I'd advise any boxer given that opportunity. I think it's great. You get a big platform, and that 3 minute format, the 3 rounds, 3 minute format. Oh, it's great. It was great because you just never know what's going to happen, and you guarantee a tear up in it. You know what I mean? Which suited me down to the ground really, and it showed. Obviously, I got in. To be fair, I was a bit unlucky really because Shaq was made for that tournament. You know what I mean? You can't get near somebody like that for 3 rounds. And to get to the final of that was great. And I mean, prior to that, what was it? It was about just sort of a year ago. Before that, it was after the Westgar fight, and everything was a bit up in the air. And like I knew that was kind of my chance. And back then, it wasn't as established as it is now. I mean, I think I boxed on Spike TV. So obviously BT took it over now. But we knew we knew it was going to get some, it was going to get some wind behind it, and which it has. So it was an opportunity for me, and I think it was 16 grand for the winner as well. So it was an opportunity to win a few quid, and that's why I took that. Really, that's why I thought, hey, let's have a gamble, and it paid off for me because off the back of that, I got my English title shot. I had one fight after that, bit of a warm-up fight, and I got my English title shot, and I took it with both hands, won that, and that's put me in a position. Although I've come off the back of 3 losses, that has really put me in a position to get them 3 losses, and box on the stages I boxed on.
Yeah, no, 100%. And as you mentioned, you fought Shakkan Pitters, who you fought twice, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Yeah.
2 pretty good fights from watching them back. So Shakkan Pitters fought Craig Richards in the British light heavyweight title on Channel 5, and Craig Richards obviously with a very, very impressive performance. Coming in as a challenger as well. What do you think of that? Were you a little bit surprised? As someone who's fought Shakkan Pitters, were you picking him?
I was surprised. Yeah, definitely. He impressed me, to be honest. He impressed me. He's put himself right up there, right? You know what I mean? You got to take your hat off to him, and he stepped up to the plate because we've seen it with him, quite a few times now where, let's say, if the opposition is not as good, he kind of stoops down to the level, which he's openly said himself. And he obviously we've seen it against Jake Ball, took him out, and he was the real live opponent. And to be fair, going in that, he was an underdog, I think. And then we were an underdog going in here, and it just shows you know what I mean. He stepped up to the plate, and it definitely made people like me take note. And I'll be I was watching his career anyway, but I'll definitely be taking watching with a lot more interest now. And I think with that off the back of that performance, and why can't he mix it with the top levels like your pieces like your Lyndons and your bigger boys like your Johnsons, and you can't be too far away from that. He's he's been holding on for that WBA quite a while. Is it WBA, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now he's won the
international
British.
title.
He's won the British now. They're going to be pushing him on. So yeah, it's interesting to see how we will do with the big boys in the division.
Yeah, no, 100%. Your division is absolutely stacked, and I'm not just talking about world level. I'm talking about just even domestically, as you mentioned, Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yarde, Craig Richards, Shakkan Pitters, Joshua Boatzy, Callum Johnson, Hosea Burton, and now it looks like Callum Smith might move up as well after losing to Canelo. So I think they're looking, because I think he said after he was struggling a little bit with the weight. That wasn't an excuse, but he just said that it might be time to move up. So obviously, some of these guys at different levels to others, but still so exciting as someone who is a UK fan to see that many people around. So what's your 2021 is a little bit uncertain still, because January, obviously there's no fights being scheduled or allowed to be scheduled. Hopefully we'll get it back in February, etc. But for you, if you're planning well, first of all, do you have a plan for your 2021? And if not, what would you be planning to do in 2021 to achieve?
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, I had a call earlier on. I say the same. In an ideal world, if crowds were back and everything was normal, I'd go back down maybe to the small hall shows, and I'd rebuild ideally like a English Eliminator, maybe even an area title. I'd probably go down that low and just see what's about and rebuild properly. But I'm only 28. You know what I mean? I'm only 28. I've had a bit of a big career and an up and down career, but I am only 28. So I've got a few more years left in the game yet. But we're not in an ideal situation. So for me, I'm never going to be the A side of the card. So I've got to take opportunities as they come. So yeah, like I say, I'm ticking away in the gym now, get my weight down a bit, and then if that call comes up for anybody, me and Carl have even spoke about cruiserweight. If the right fight comes up, I'll be ready. But ideally, I'd like to stay down at 12-7, to be honest, or around there, and see what comes up really. But I've just got to take opportunities as they come. I don't want to be the opponent. I don't want to be getting in there to get beat. But you got to remember, even like the likes of the Lyndon Arthurs and the Yards, I went in there believing I could win. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't going in there. I wasn't going in there thinking I was going to get. I wasn't going in with journeyman mentality. You know what I mean? And I got paid a few quid for him, and I enjoyed what I did, and it gave me great publicity. And partly the reason people like yourself are ringing me for Zoom calls was they want to see that insight, and so it's put my name up there, and it definitely put my name out there a lot more, and that's what I've gained from it. So I won't regret anything as such. So yeah, that's what my 2021 plans are. If opportunity arises, I'll take it. And I'll just sit tight and just tick over until that comes. I've got a few little niggly injuries, to be honest. What I've been trying to do, quite annoying, to be fair. Nothing what's keeping you out of gym, but it's stopping me going full potential. So I'd like to get them sorted out, really. But never say never. If the right fight come up and I was feeling right, I'll take it. But yeah, that's my general plans for 2021.
That's a really good insight, actually. Especially you're talking about, you said obviously you've had those fights, and that's why people like myself want to have calls with you as well, and how it's helped you in terms of publicity. It's a very interesting outlook, and I think it's the right outlook going forward. So
yeah,
I think 100% I can understand why you're saying that. In terms of the domestic scene, then obviously, as I said, we've got all these big names. As someone who's out of that division, you fought a couple of them, or no, 3 of them that I can think of off the top of my head.
yeah.
But who do you rate? I want to put you on the spot. Who's the one that you highly rate, or the most highly rated fighter out of those? If we exclude someone like Callum Smith, who's coming up, because I think obviously he's ex-world champion, etc. But Callum Johnson's obviously fought Beterbiev. The Joshua Boatzy seen as being a very exciting fighter as well, and you also got Craig Richards up there, Lyndon Arthur now as well, etc. Out of these fighters, who are you thinking and saying, you know what, I think they're going to win a world title next?
Next.
Or even who do you think's got the most potential then? Let's say that.
Yeah. So, like I said, everyone is at different stages in their career. I can only say for who I've shared the ring with. And like Shakkan Pitters has become quite a good friend to me. Do you know what I mean? So, I wish Shaq all the best. But I mean, as an all-round fighter, for me, who's sharing the ring with is definitely Lyndon Arthur, because I just felt he had that touch of, he just had that bit of special. You know what I mean? You could just tell he were a very well schooled, very good fighter. He's got that bit of arrogance, you know, that bit of confidence, and it's what you need. You need that, you know, you need that to believe you're going to go all the way and to go all the way to the top. Hey, as does Pitters, and you know, as does Yarde. And you do need that bit of flair. So from obviously what I've experienced, definitely Lyndon is the best what I've been in the ring with. Do I think he could mix it with the likes of Callum Johnson, people like that? Yeah, definitely. Would I advise him to do it right at the minute, right at this second? No, because these guys are, you know, established at world level. You know, I'm not saying he can't beat him. He probably could beat him. I honestly think he has got the beating of him. But why rush it? Why rush it? Why come off the back of you know? This is why I won't be keen on him taking the Yarde fight. He doesn't need it. Why take the Yarde fight? You proved you can beat him and beat him quite easily. You know, let's look further on the European level. Let's look at fringe European level and have a look what's be at there. But yeah, I mean, I really rate Callum Johnson, but he's just been so stop-start, and I real feel. Do you know what? I really do feel for him, because he's never quite got going, has he? And he's got so much potential, and he looks to be so strong. And you'd have thought after beating like that Buglioni, you'd have really thought it'd start to get a bit of momentum. But it never just quite got off. I mean, he took the Batavia fight, you know, yeah, he was Batavia, wasn't it? And then you know, it just never quite got going for him. But he's still there. He still wants to fight. You know, I follow him quite a bit on social media and stuff, and he's ready. You know what I mean? He's saying out there he wants to fight. He wants to fight the best, and I think somebody like a Callum Johnson's got the beating of a Boazzi. You know, we've seen Boazzi unravel. That last fight, people are going to be fancying that job a lot more than there was a few months ago. So, you know, really, apart from the Batavia fight, you can't really say Callum's done that. And he put Batavia's on his ass, didn't he? So, you know, really, when you break it all down, I believe that, yeah, Callum Johnson is probably one of the best in the country for me, but he's never quite got the track, you know, quite got going. So yeah, we'll never know. But hopefully, it'd be nice to see that fight. I think Boazzi and Johnson is the fight to make in the British scene. But I think it's worth more than just a British European. I think them boys are above that. Maybe not so much Boazzi, because he's never. You can't really say that, can you? I suppose, because he's not tried and tested, is he, at British level? Or it's a tough one. I don't know. But yeah, me personally, I think Callum Johnson.
No, it's hard to disagree with that, to be honest with you. I think, yeah, Boazzi is really exciting, as you said. I think he's probably testing himself at British level, and he's probably looking at European level, I would say, from what I've seen anyway. I agree with you. I think Callum Johnson's obviously fought Beterbiev, who's a unified world champ, so there's still a little bit of a gap, but they do want to make that fight, apparently, Matchroom in 2021, so that would be a kind of sink or swim fight, really. Boazzi, even though he's a prospect, he's 27, 28, so he's not super young.
I believe it's I believe it's sink or swim for Callum more than Boazzi, definitely. But Callum's shouting, he wants that fight. Do you know what I mean? He keeps saying it. So yeah, there should be no reason why that fight shouldn't get on. But it's another one. Is it a fight you want to do behind closed doors? I know it's a fight I'd love to go and watch. You know what I mean? So it's one of them, innit? How long do you keep buying it off for? I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. You can only marinate something for so long, I guess, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. So what's your take then on, if we look at the world level, Bivol and Beterbiev, what are your thoughts on them, and who do you think's the best in the division then, for putting you on the spot?
Yeah, I mean, they're all very good out there. That's why they're world champions. But it's Bivol looks more all round for me. I think Beterbiev looks he's got that European style, and he upright, strong as an ox. But that Bivol seems to be a lot more about him. But I don't know. I don't know. It'd be a very interesting fight, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think he's knocked out every single opponent he's ever faced, but Bivol, as you said, has got the skills to pay the bills as well. So that would be a great matchup. And Callum Johnson fared quite well, I thought, against Beterbiev, and showed a little bit of a flaw in him that he likes to have a tear up.
It'd be interesting if you ever got another shot, you know. I think you would.
Yeah. I
Would be
think the
interesting.
Lyndon Arthur Anthony Yarde fight, I think that is supposed to happen this year because apparently there's a clause in the contract, etc. Because I think Anthony Yarde was seen as the A side. So interested to see if that does happen or not. I agree with you. I think it's an intriguing rematch if it does happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So in terms of just going back to you in a little bit, you kind of give me your insight into 2021. What's your ideal scenario when you kick back? As you said, you're not. I don't want to say you're old because you're not that old at all. You know, you're still
Feel
young and happy, young and happy, just like me. But going forward, then let's fast forward and say you're sitting down, you're retired. What do you want to? How do you want to look back on your career, and what do you want to have achieved in a realistic and ideal scenario? Even what do you want to look back and say, you know what, this is
Yeah.
what
I
X, Y,
mean,
and Z. This is what I've done.
yeah. I mean, a few people for me, a few people know. Like when I turned over, I were only ever going to go on the road. I want interest in winning titles, stuff like that. Two secs. What?
Can you hide in the bathroom?
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, and then
Sorry.
can we have our curtains closed?
It's all right, no worries.
Come on, please.
Oh,
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So that happened earlier on as well. But anyway, yeah. So ideally, in an ideal scenario, if I turned over to just to enjoy my boxing, and I was just gonna earn a few quid. My boy was being born at the time, actually. Just wanted a bit of extra cash, and that is honestly the only reason I turned over and started training with Carl. And Carl said, "Can you sell tickets?" I said, "I wasn't really interested in selling tickets, but I said I'll give it a go." And then I had a few knockouts, toppled a few lads, and then it just seemed to I've got a great following now, and so that itself is a great achievement for me. And like my name in this town is great, and I've got the people that follow me all up and down the country, and even if I've boxed out of the country, I'm sure a few of them will follow. So the world behind me. So that in itself is a great achievement for me. And with me winning the English title, with obviously the story behind it with the West Garth, boxing Scott and an English eliminator, and I think it was just over a year for me to make a full comeback and build myself up, and then to beat Kurt Garvey at the time, who were Tri-Nations Gold, we won the ABAs, and all the rest of it. It was a fight I wasn't really meant to win, as such, but there was nobody going to beat me really on that night. I had that mentality, and I think that for me, I could, if I was to retire tomorrow, with what I've done, I could retire happy. You know what I mean? I could retire happy, but I've got to look at. I think if you'd have told me at the start of the career that I was going to win this English title, I'd have loved it. I'd have been no way, But now I'm at this level, and now I'm boxing people I've boxed. I've probably gained confidence and the things I've learned along the way, and I definitely look at the way the top 10 is now and stuff like that, and I definitely believe that I can still beat kids what have got titles, what are in line for titles. So now I'm not content. So I kind of look back at it and think I can do more now. Definitely,
Makes you want more, yeah.
Stats, you know what I mean? And I probably never believed I could ever do that at the start, but now as I've gone through and I've ticked the boxes off as I've gone through, and yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I'm still enjoying the sport. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, so now I still look at it and I still think it's titles to be won. So yeah, we'll just keep going. As long as I enjoy it, that's what I'll keep doing. I'll keep chipping away. And if there's ever a time that I don't enjoy it, or someone sees a different side to it that I don't see, and like you sometimes you don't like to admit it to yourself. You know what I mean? But I think I'm I'm clued up enough to know when enough's enough. But I have been in a few wars, but I've enjoyed them. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I'll keep going until I don't like it anymore.
I think that's a really good outlook to have, to be fair. And it's interesting that you said that you didn't think you'd become English champion, and then as soon as you did, it's almost like you don't get greedy, but you get that hunger, don't you, to want to do more.
Yeah.
And it's like with anything in life, as soon as you realize maybe, oh, actually I'm quite good at this, then you want to really push yourself and test yourself to the best that you can and be competitive. So yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
No.
But before we wrap up, there's a couple of things. Firstly, and I've been asking everyone this because I'm just interested in people's opinions. Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua, or Joshua Fury, however you want to put it. hopefully going to happen this year. I assume it's not going to happen in the UK. It's going to happen in the Middle East somewhere. Let's be honest. But when it does happen, hopefully we get a second fight here. But with COVID and everything, if it does happen there, how do you think it goes, and who do you pick and why?
Do you know what? I've always said Joshua beat Fury. Joshua beat Fury, and my mates will rid me for this, but Joshua beat. I always said it, but you know, you just got to go off form and just. I just can't. I just see Fury beating Joshua, and I don't know. He just looks unbeatable at the minute. He's so big and just so elusive and such an all-rounded fighter. And you know, he said it himself. You know, you don't know what you're going to get with him. You know what I mean? And that's just an unpredictable fighter is an hard fighter to read. And I think Joshua needs a kind of blueprint to beat a fighter, whereas I think Fury can adapt a lot better, if that makes sense. So yeah, I've always said Joshua, and don't get me wrong, I'm only giving you an answer because you want one. I'd sit on the fence on the night. I won't be putting any bets on it. Put it that way, because if Joshua hits you, you're going out. You know what I mean? Forget Wilder's the biggest hitter in the division. Trust me, if Joshua hits you as clean as he did, you know, as Wilder did Fury, he'd knock him clean out. So I think like you just can't overrule the fact that Joshua could clip him, but I just can't see any way Joshua would outbox him. He's too big. He knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? It'd be an hard night's work for Joshua, I think. So yeah, I'll be picking Fury. Maybe late stoppage.
Oh, okay, interesting. Now I'm just so interested to get people's opinions on it. I think from people that I've spoken to, fighters, I think most have said Fury. I think it's probably tipped, I would say, after that Deontay Wilder second performance. I think it was so impressive that I think loads of people after watching that thought, oh, he can fight like this. And you know, it's really intriguing because both fighters can now fight different styles, whereas before it was seen as Joshua's a knockout artist and Fury's the master boxer, but now both have adopted a little bit of both styles.
It's a strange one because as Fury was coming up, he used to switch off. Well, he still just switch off, man, but switch off, and you've seen him get planted and seen him hit the ground so many times. And he gets up. Don't get me wrong, he always gets up, but there was that vulnerability to him. And Joshua's career looked unbeatable, and as he's got to the higher level, then he started to get knocked. Obviously, he's got the loss to Ruiz, and he's shown vulnerabilities. So like it's gone in like two different directions, and the kind of, you know what I mean? I can see why it took people longer to get round to Fury, and obviously with a big ring absence as well. But now he just looks to be back, and he just looks to be so focused and so in form. I think he'll take some beating. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Hard to disagree. Okay, quick one then, just to wrap up. What are your hobbies outside boxing?
Well, I don't know. I've got a few, I suppose. I just keep it in. That's what it is.
You can try and keep it PG if you want.
Obviously everyone knows I've got a bit going in a band and that, but that's kind of foldy. But I do my own bits of music here and there, just to pass the time away, and then that's it really. Just
what kind of music? Tell us a little bit about it.
Indie rock.
Okay.
Indie rock, yeah, and then
I won't put you on the spot and ask you to sing.
Acapella. Yeah, well, no, that's really that's it, and then just go away to at the minute. There's not really much you can do, but just getting out when I can, doing the big shop.
Doing the big shop, yeah, that's what I like to come to. Doing the big shop is the excitement. No, well, thank you so much for coming on and taking time out of your day to be on. It's really great speaking to you as well. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
No, just thank you to my sponsors as well. I give them a mention every time, and it's been hard. It's hard enough for any company and any businessman at the minute, especially the last year or so. So just hope everyone has a good 2021 and Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you too, and hopefully we'll catch up soon again, and you get a fight date sorted as well.
Spot on, mate. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Cheers. See you later, mate.